that grooming process forums, the conversations turn sexual, and then the person on the other end usually says, hey, I'll send you a nude photograph if you send me one. Once that child sends a nude photograph, they always ask for the face of the child in the photograph. What they're doing in the background is they're collecting that child's friends lists off of that, say Instagram. They're collecting all the Instagram friends lists of that child. A lot of times I have them jump to another platform to chat, like Snapchat, and then they'll collect that child's friends list from there. Once that child sends that nude photograph, that child then receives a screenshot of the nude photograph that they just sent along with a list of all their friends. It can involve all their teachers, family, priests, pastors, anybody. And then they immediately say, hey, if you don't send me more nude photographs of yourself or a gift card, then I'm going to send this to everybody and they're going to know what you do online. Put yourself back as a 12, 13-year-old. That's scary, right? A lot of these kids, they're not going to run to their parents, which they should. They keep it to themselves. They go, they steal money, or they'll wipe out their whole savings accounts. They'll buy those gift cards and then send them to the bad guy on the other end. What we're seeing a lot is, I know in the state of Tennessee and around the U.S. and the world, is these subjects on the other end literally tell these kids, hey, you have nothing else to live for, so you might as well kill yourself, because we know and your family's going to know exactly what you do on the internet. And unfortunately, some of these kids do choose that route. So we here, I know with the ICAC, in the ICAC world, we take sex extortion very seriously because there is a child on the other end who could potentially end up committing suicide because of this. The biggest thing is if it happens, that child needs to know that you're not going to get in trouble by law enforcement. You have to tell somebody. You have to tell a trusted adult, whether that's a teacher, an SRO, contact local police department, your parents, anybody who that child feels safe to go to. That child can't go through this whole thing alone. That's the most dangerous part of this. A lot of these are financial sextortion is usually groups out in Western Africa are usually the subjects. However, here in Tennessee, we have plenty of subjects that have been the bad guy on the other end, sextorting children. And the best place to take screenshots, report, block that user. If you're a parent, don't get on and become mama bear and start yelling and arguing, because that's not going to help. Just block that center, stop all communications, take screenshots for evidence, and then report that to law enforcement. And then the biggest thing is report it. You can call TBI, or you can report it to CyberTip, the cybertipline.org, which is NCMEC's main website for cyber tips.
We wanted to give parents 10 apps to watch, right? Kids have a lot of devices, kids have a lot of mobile apps, and so we wanted to provide some good information about the apps that we want parents to know might be out there.
Yep. Again, this is just 10 apps that we kind of chose. There's pretty much all the apps. If you can communicate on an application, then it can potentially be dangerous for a child. And these bad guys know where these children live online, and so they do the same. So one of the first ones is Be Real, and all these we've had cases on. And usually there are platforms where you can groom a child, sextort a child, or exploit a child, sending and sharing the nude photographs of that child. So Be Real is one of them. Discord, I'm sure you've heard a lot about Discord in the news lately. This is a big one for, especially with the 764 groups, the high harm child exploitation groups throughout the world. And then Kick, that's another chat app. The biggest thing with these 10 apps is just for that parent to maybe recognize what the app looks like on the kid's phone. The biggest thing with these is if you're unsure what these apps do for your child, download them yourself and figure it out and look at it. Can you video chat? Can you chat via text? Can you share photos? Is there a location automatically set on all these apps? That's things that parents should look for. Roblox is a huge one. This is where kids go to play games. Just remember that these kids might maybe have like an innocent game, but you can search throughout Roblox and find any inappropriate type of community that any user can just create. And then a child can just search that keyword and then instantly be on that. And then Snapchat, this is probably one of the most cyber tips that we get, just because kids are using Snapchat. And these bad guys know that kids are using Snapchat, so they're on it too. And then TikTok and Instagram. Like I said, this is a lot where sextortion kind of begins. We get a lot of cases where sextortion stems from Instagram. And then Yubo. I don't know if many people hear this, but this is kind of like Tinder for kids. Kids can go there. A lot of our tips that we've gotten, this is where people are sending and receiving payments for child exploitation material. They're using Yubo. And then Twitch, it's an online gaming server. It's very popular with kids for computer games. But also there's a chat feature, so we get a lot of grooming and online enticement through Twitch. And then Telegram, it's the end-to-end encryption, where nothing good happens on Telegram. Let's just say that. This is where kids and bad guys can communicate with each other, and it's all end-to-end encryption. They send and share CSAM material to one another using Telegram.
And if you would please say what CSAM stands for.
CSAM is the new. So we're not calling it child pornography anymore. CSAM is child sexual abuse material. We're going to call it what it is. And then this is a really good site for parents. It's protectyoungeyes.com/apps, but it shows pretty much all the major popular applications out there that kids are using. And there's at least 100 probably. And what you can do is go in, you click on each app, and it'll tell you and give you an explanation of what that app does, the dangers, is it safe for kids, is it not safe for kids, anything about that app regarding child safety. So that's a really good, useful site.
We'll talk about K9 Marvel in a moment, but first, Rob, before we step away from this conversation around apps, tell me a little bit about why parents should be invested on what's on their kids' devices. You're a dad yourself.
Yep. Yep. So I have two kids myself, and obviously being a parent in the real world is hard enough. And now we got to figure out how to be a parent in the online world. It's important to know what that app does, because like I said earlier, is a lot of us, maybe our kids will take their device, they'll download an app that their friends talk about at school, and then we have no idea what it does. But in the end, maybe they're sharing pictures. Maybe it's a video app where you randomly get paired with a stranger throughout the world. That's stuff that our kids should not be using. So again, sit down with your child, have them explain what that app does. And if you don't like it, if you don't approve, then tell them not to use it. Is that kind of explained?
I think so. Thank you. Probably open it up for questions in a bit, and I'm sure you folks will have some, but I'd like to introduce Special Agent Claire Haldwine and the newest member of our team, K9 Marvel. So if you would, Claire, just tell us a little bit about Marvel. How did we get Marvel, and what's he do, and how's he help?
Hi, my name is Claire Haldwing. I'm a special agent, obviously here at Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. I'm in our Internet Crimes Against Children unit, and I am also K9 Marvel's handler. Marvel is an electronic storage detection canine and also a therapy dog. So we are fortunate enough to be provided Marvel through the United States Secret Service Nashville Field Office. We have a really great partnership with our federal partners. And the United States Secret Service had me go down to Alabama to one of their facilities to participate in the training with Marvel. And that training was put on by Todd Jordan with Todd Jordan Detection K9. Marvel is, as an electronic storage detection K9, his job is to find any electronic devices that a suspect may have hidden. Not even just suspects, it could be victims if their phone gets thrown off in a field, whatever it may be. Marvel is able to work to find those devices. And what he is looking for, there's a chemical in all these devices called triphenylphosphine oxide, and that is what he sniffs out. So he is able to find electronic devices in water, in fields, in houses. A lot of suspects sometimes like to disguise USBs or memory cards, whatever it may be, in kids' toys or in candy bars or in ceilings or in the water, floorboards, and he's able to work to sniff that out. And the reason Marvel is not currently alerting me on any of the electronic devices is because he works for food. He's food motivated. So when he sees the food bag come out and I tell him we're going to go to work, that's when he knows to start working and sniffing for the electronic devices. And then he is also a therapy dog. So if we have victims that need extra support in their interviews, he's able to go and sit with them and lay down with them, provide them comfort. And not only for the victims, but here at TBI or other agencies as well for investigators, since not every day is easy for us and we do see a lot of gruesome things. So he's also here to provide therapy for us as well.
You've had Marvel for just a few weeks. What's his personality?
Couple months now.
Yeah, thank you. So what's his personality like? What makes him a good agent here at the Bureau?
He's very determined. He loves his job. When he knows it's time to go to work, he's ready to go to work. Sometimes I don't even have to start directing him. He will just start working and sniffing out, especially in open fields. He loves to do open fields, and he'll just start guiding me and pulling me in the direction that he's smelling the device. So I would say he's very determined. When he's not working, he's just a normal dog. He loves to play with his friends. He loves to chase the ball. He has a really fun personality. He's pretty funny, and I would say a bubbly personality as well.
Great. Thank you so much. Do want to make you aware of this website as well. Netsmarts.org is a great resource the Bureau always points parents to. There are great age-appropriate resources to really have some good conversations with your kids about technology. I'd love for our three speakers, if you would, just kind of approach the lectern here, because what we'll do is we'll open it up for your questions. What do you guys have for our folks here?
Rob, you had mentioned the increase in cases over the years. So as an agency, what have y'all done to try to meet the demand in a sense?
So since 2007, we've always had 4 agents working ICAC. And here we are at 2025 with 4 agents and 1 supervisor. So what we can do best is pretty much triage. That's the biggest thing that we do, is we triage and look for the worst of the worst cases that need to be worked, kind of like in a priority order. Unfortunately, they all involve a child, so to us, they're all priorities, but with 4 agents that cover the whole state, and then receiving over 100 cases a month. I mean, if you do the math, it's hard. So we do the best we can. I know each of our agents have a huge caseload, and then on top of that, we're constantly going to schools, community groups to promote education on ICAC. Does that answer? Okay.
Y'all mentioned earlier about referring to the perpetrators as bad guys, but I think a lot of people don't think about that. I guess could females also be the perpetrator as well? I guess in your investigations, what do you see? Maybe is there ratio male, female, or is this something that people don't often think about?
Yeah.
Bad guy.
I think I don't have numbers, but I would say it's majority of male crime, if you would agree. We do have plenty of female offenders too. I think what we've noticed is female offenders usually don't tend to kind of document their crime as kind of like males do. Males document their crime, and to them it's kind of like a treasure, is how the best way I can explain it.
guys ever, I mean, do y'all, I mean, I guess do you catch people? Have you caught anybody? Have you took anybody in custody? And have y'all been, second question, have y'all done any legislation like they have in other states to make the crime even more, I guess? I interviewed a guy from Georgia one time, and he met with 3 people, and their son had killed himself, and so they were trying to get new legislation to, if they found the person, you know, that they could
Yep.
full extent of the law.
Yeah, I think I know last month our unit, especially our agent out east, had 5 arrests involving child exploitation. Here in Middle, we've had a couple indictments that have happened this month alone, and then we have plenty of stuff, planned for future events. What was the second part? Sorry.
Legislation, maybe talking to legislatures and try to get something that makes it.
Yeah, one thing I'm personally looking for, I realize Tennessee doesn't really have a good sextortion law, so that's something that I'm kind of kicking around right now with another agent, and then my goal is to hopefully get something for Tennessee involving sextortion, just because of the amount of increase that we've seen here at the state.
Yeah, I have a couple of things on that. Statewide, our agents have, our investigators with the ICAC task force have made over 200 arrests this year. 62 of those arrests were hands-on offenders. They were actually making contact offenses against children in their sphere. And the remainder of those were exploiting children online or trading in CSAM material. But over 200 arrests so far this year. With plenty of time left to go in the year. And when it comes to legislation, we're constantly in contact with state legislatures, with Director Roush, Chiefs of Police across the state, Tennessee Association of Chiefs of Police, and Sheriff's Association to try to impact legislation going forward. Just recently, Representative Littleton was able to pass a law in Tennessee just a couple of years ago that Director Roush and the Chiefs of Police helped to craft to make computer-generated, AI-generated CSAM prosecutable under state law. That continues to develop. Another AI law was passed again in this last legislative session. And that's something that we're continually looking at to add teeth to that. Speaking on sextortion in particular, we're a little bit behind. Spectrum in law enforcement, even as far up as the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children, we're still looking at, as ICAC commanders across the country, how we can better categorize and capture those cases as financial sextortion or sextortion for images, because as they are now, they're categorized in a more broad category of online enticement, which means it's a little bit hard to capture some of that data. So that's something that as working groups on the national level, we're combating every day and trying to find ways forward so that we're more able to address that specifically.
I forgot to add something about Marvel. Is that okay? Okay. The other thing about Marvel is we serve the whole state of Tennessee, so we don't only serve TBI, we also serve our state, local, and federal partners if they ever need our assistance, whether it's for him looking for devices or for him to be a therapy dog for victims or witnesses.
Who is he, who is he connected with, though? Who does he work for?
So he was provided to us by the Secret Service, but he is a TBI, Electronic Storage Detection K9, and I'm his handler.
So it's TBI?
Yes.
But y'all work with everyone?
Yes, sir.
He's an actual agent. He has his own creds.
Yeah.
He looks like it right now.
Oh, yeah. He's got the best one.
I asked you a quick question, one about Marvel. So I know he went to, you only had him for a few months now, so I imagine that he has not run any active cases or helped actually successfully find anything on an active case, or is that not the case?
So we are ready to go. We've been ready, so at any time we get a call, we're able to go out and help. He was already trained before I got him. So our training was focused on us training together and building that bond. So, and like I said, he is rewarded by food. So we train every day. Right now, I'm currently training him about 3 to 5 times a day. So in order for him to get his full serving of food, I need to hide devices, or a coworker hide devices, whoever it may be, for us to go search for them so that he can get his full serving of food.
Does he go home with you?
He does, yeah. He's with me 24/7.
The second question I was going to ask, and this is generally for any of you, I know you guys talked about the 4 agents and how that's obviously been a difficult situation with the amount of caseload. Has there been any conversation amongst your team or the TBI to look at, now that you're seeing your caseload skyrocket so much, has there been talk about how do we increase our volume of agents or work on that?
Yeah, I think every year we always put in requesting for more agents. So at that point, it's just a matter of the budget and what they decide to do. So,
Anything else from you folks? In closing, I would love for whoever wants to address this question, just tell us why you think it's important that we continue to champion this kind of work as a law enforcement community. Why does this work matter?
Sure, I'll take that. So, the ICAC program was created back in 1998 because the Department of Justice identified that there was a failure in law enforcement across the country in our technological capability, and frankly the education level of our investigators and officers across the nation to be able to combat these exploitation cases using the internet, because you have several challenges. The first challenge is just the rapidly evolving nature of technology, and then jurisdictional challenges, whereas most crimes are able to be solved within a single jurisdiction. This is a crime that's going to span globally. So we needed to find a way to network investigators across the world and to provide them the technology and the training to use that technology so that they could investigate these cases and protect children. The reason why it's so important that we continue that work, even as the increase comes and even as we face budget challenges, is because we stand as the only people who can get in between a sexual predator and a child. In a lot of cases, we're going to be the first people that know that crime's occurring due to the reporting from NECMEC as required by the Electronic Communications Act. A lot of times we're going to be the only ones that know this long before a parent or guardian and other trusted adult do. So even above and beyond catching and prosecuting sexual predators who are preying on our children, our number one mission is to step in and intervene between those people before any more damage can occur, and of course to prevent the ultimate nightmare of that online offender becoming a hands-on offender.
One more. Just want to say first off, I admire the work you all are doing to protect the youth here in the state of Tennessee. But for many of you, and I'm sure a lot of parents, many people here are parents, it's they know that it all begins at home. It begins. Have you ever? What would you say if a parent were to come to you and be like, "How do I begin to talk to my child without this app?" Or, "No, I know all your friends have it. You can't." Or just how? What kind of conversation do you have with them? I mean, a lot of them are teenagers now too. It could be.
So first, I'd like to say that I always tell parents when I go out and speak at schools or community groups that you have to realize that the relationships your children are building online are as real to them as the relationships they have in their lives. For those of us in the older generation, sometimes that's hard to wrap our minds around. But NCMEC has done studies that have showed that as many as 30% of children have built all of their closest relationships online. So if you think about that as a parent, you really need to be involved in teaching your children what an appropriate relationship looks like, whether it's online or offline. You have to be involved in those relationships the same as you would be if your child was asking permission to go down the street to have a sleepover at a friend's house. Most parents that I know would not allow that child to go to a stranger's house Yet a lot of us don't realize that when we allow our child to go online, that's exactly what they're doing. They're building those relationships. It's just as real to them as their real life relationships are. So as parents, Rob talked earlier about reporting to a trusted adult. As parents, it really behooves us to become the trusted adult. And that's not something that your child is going to bestow on you. You have to earn that. And it's not something you talk about once and move on. It's every single day. You have to build trust with your child. You have to be involved in their relationships, in their online world, just like in the real world, and educate yourself on what they're exposing themselves to when they go online. We do our best to provide those resources to parents so they'll have the tools to do that, but at the end of the day, you're going to have to take that responsibility to build those relationships with your children, just like you would in any situation that comes up in their day-to-day life in the real world.
I just had to add. I think kids nowadays, they don't have the spidey senses, kind of like what we grew up with. I remember when I grew up, the stranger danger, the thing that I had to look for was that white van and the guy in the gray jacket or the tan jacket. But what kids now is their stranger meter is pretty much doesn't exist, because now they're all online, and yeah, they might start off as a stranger, but now they play the same game, they have the same interests. Now they're not a stranger anymore. Now they're becoming more of a friend. So if you ask any kid online, who are you playing with? Oh, just my friends. Well, do you know them? Like, have you ever met them in real life? No, they're just on the game. They play the same game with me, and they're part of our group online. So I think kids don't see that stranger danger like we did growing up before technology and games. Once they see somebody having the same interests on the same platform, all of a sudden now they're becoming that friend. And that's when the whole grooming communication is super easy for these predators, because they've already established that friend connection with the child. So, and then a couple rules that I have in my house, and then I tell all the parents, is only use electronic devices in a family room that's open. Never in a bathroom or a bedroom. Don't allow your child to have devices in there. I think 99% of the images and videos that we see come from a bathroom or a bedroom. I set guidelines, no electronic devices after a certain time. So after dinner, there's no electronic devices. My child shouldn't be on the internet at 2 in the morning, because nothing good happens on the internet at 2 o'clock in the morning. And I forget my third one, but those are my two major rules that I have in my house.
Thank you all.
Yep.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Name spelling? You have the name spelling?
It's on the advisory, but I can do that.
He's so active.
And if you guys wanted to